The cruiser stopped abruptly. Officer Daniel Reed's hand hovered near his holster. He knew the person inside the black SUV wasn't an ordinary suspect. The call had come in quiet and coded, but the situation was clear. A judge, mid-argument with someone in the vehicle refusing to comply. Reed clicked on his body cam. The red light blinked, recording every second. Every command shouted, every resistance, every decision to step forward or hold back would be captured. What unfolded next was chaotic, tense, and explosive. 8 minutes of footage would show actions that defied expectation, exposing moments of aggression, resistance, and authority being tested in ways Reed never imagined. By the time supervisors and internal affairs reviewed the video, nothing could be unseen. Officer Daniel Reed had been on the force for nearly a decade. He had dealt with difficult suspects, aggressive drivers, and heated domestic disputes, but nothing prepared him for the call he received that afternoon. Dispatch reported a disturbance at a downtown parking lot. The caller claimed a prominent judge was involved in a heated confrontation inside a vehicle, refusing lawful instructions from nearby security personnel. Reed knew protocol dictated careful approach, but his gut told him this was far from routine. He arrived at the lot, lights flashing lightly, engine idling. The black SUV sat near the center, doors locked, windows slightly tinted. Reed switched on his body cam. The red light blinked steadily, recording his every move. He approached the driver's side with caution, hands visible, voice firm. "Judge Thompson," Reed called. The figure inside shifted slightly but did not respond. Reed instructed the driver to unlock the doors. Silence followed. He could see the judge's hand resting near the seatbelt. Reed's experience told him this was no ordinary compliance issue. Reed asked again, calmly but firmly, "Please step out of the vehicle." The judge ignored the command. Reed signaled with his radio for backup. He noted the body cam capturing every angle. The slight tremble of the judge's hands, the tension in his shoulders, and the hesitancy of the passengers inside. Minutes stretched as the judge continued to resist. Reed maintained distance, ensuring he followed protocol. His body cam recorded the dialogue, capturing the escalating tension. He reiterated the lawful requirement to exit the vehicle. The judge's voice rose, challenging the officer's authority. Reed kept his posture neutral, repeating instructions slowly. The camera captured the subtle shifts in body language. Hands tightening on the steering wheel, eyes scanning the surrounding lot, lips pressed together. The officer documented each command and pause, aware that compliance or resistance would later be judged by internal affairs. Backup arrived, and Reed coordinated positioning to prevent escalation. Officers took positions around the SUV. The body cam caught the synchronized movements, careful communication, and verbal warnings issued. Reed instructed the judge to place hands on the dashboard while maintaining clear observation. The judge hesitated, remaining partially reclined in the seat. Reed carefully opened the driver's side door. The judge pushed back, leaning away. Reed followed protocol, attempting to de-escalate while still commanding compliance. Finally, after repeated instructions, the judge exited the vehicle slowly. The body cam recorded every movement, hands up, eyes forward, tense posture. Reed approached, maintaining space and ensuring his own safety. He explained that a temporary detainment was necessary due to the disturbance and refusal to comply with lawful instructions. The judge resisted, verbally arguing against the detainment. Reed instructed again, using firm but measured commands. The body cam captured the back-and-forth dialogue, every subtle movement, every shift in stance. Reed maintained composure, ensuring that his actions matched procedural requirements. As he attempted to apply handcuffs, the judge pulled slightly away. Reed adjusted, securing the cuffs properly, ensuring no excessive force. The camera documented each step. The tension between authority and resistance escalated, but Reed maintained control. Other officers arrived to assist in securing the scene. They positioned themselves strategically, supporting Reed while maintaining observation. The body cam continued recording, capturing the precise movements and verbal instructions. Every command, every minor resistance, every step forward or backward was preserved. Once the judge was properly secured, Reed read the rights and instructed the individual to remain seated while the situation was assessed. Dispatch confirmed a transport vehicle was en route. The body cam continued recording to capture the final minutes of interaction. Reed returned to the cruiser briefly, reviewing the situation. The footage had captured every detail: the initial refusal, the verbal challenges, the physical adjustments, and the compliance that followed. Each frame provided an objective record of the encounter, preserving both authority and accountability. By the time transport arrived, the scene had calmed. Reed ensured all documentation, verbal commands, and officer actions were completed and recorded. The body cam recorded the transfer of the judge into the transport vehicle. Every movement was captured, every detail preserved. Reed's hands rested on the cruiser as he debriefed with backup officers. He knew that Internal Affairs would scrutinize every second of the 8-minute encounter. Every movement, every command, and every reaction had been captured objectively. What started as a routine disturbance had escalated into a highly sensitive detainment, and the footage would tell the story in ways no testimony alone could. The badge had granted authority. The body cam had preserved accountability, and the 8 minutes recorded every decision, every adjustment, and every challenge. Reed prepared for the scrutiny ahead, knowing the footage would soon be analyzed for procedural accuracy, perception, and the smallest details of officer conduct. The encounter was over, but the real review was only beginning. The body cam had captured the truth. Every word, every action, every tense moment was preserved. Reed knew that in the days to come, the 8 minutes of footage would define the narrative. Officer Daniel Reed returned to the precinct the morning after the detainment. The encounter with Judge Thompson had left him on edge. 8 minutes of body cam footage captured a situation that was tense, chaotic, and highly scrutinized. Every command, every verbal challenge, and every subtle movement would be analyzed by supervisors, internal affairs, and legal teams. Reed understood that what was routine in his mind could be interpreted very differently by others. He entered the station, body cam secured in its case. Colleagues gave cautious nods, aware of the sensitivity of the incident. Reed walked straight to the evidence review room. The room was sterile and quiet, lined with monitors and servers. Lieutenant Calloway and Sergeant Price were already present. Their demeanor was professional, their expressions unreadable. "Officer Reed," Calloway began, "we are conducting a thorough review of your actions during the detainment. Please provide a detailed account of every step you took, every instruction you issued, and every interaction with Judge Thompson." Reed nodded and opened his notebook. He recounted the call from dispatch, the arrival at the parking lot, and the initial observation of the black SUV. He described approaching the driver, requesting the judge to exit the vehicle, and the sequence of verbal commands he used to establish compliance. The body cam footage was loaded onto a large monitor. Reed watched as the video played, 8 minutes captured in high definition. Every hesitation, every glance, every shift in stance was visible. Reed explained the reasoning behind each movement, noting the adjustments he made to maintain safety for himself, the officers present, and the individual being detained. Calloway paused the video at several frames, showing the judge resisting instructions. Reed explained that physical contact during the handcuffing was minimal, procedural, and necessary to ensure compliance while avoiding escalation. He demonstrated the controlled movements used during the encounter, emphasizing that force was proportional to the level of resistance encountered. Price reviewed the dispatch logs alongside the body cam footage. "The call history and timestamps align with your report," he noted. "But the complaint filed by Judge Thompson claims unlawful detainment. How do you respond?" Reed calmly explained step by step the legal requirements that govern the detainment. He described how judges, like any citizen, are subject to lawful orders from officers when immediate safety and compliance are involved. He clarified that the detention was temporary, procedural, and documented from the moment he arrived at the scene. Backup officers had submitted statements corroborating Reed's account. Each officer had positioned themselves strategically, maintaining safety and recording observations. Their notes confirmed that Reed followed protocol, issued clear commands, and minimized physical contact. Reed also provided a detailed sequence of events for each second captured on the body cam. Every verbal instruction was noted, every pause explained, every step recorded. He emphasized that the body cam provided an objective record, preserving both his actions and the judge's responses. Calloway and Price examined subtle details: body positioning, hand placement, and tone of voice. Reed explained each adjustment made to prevent escalation, maintain officer safety, and comply with department policy. The officers noted the careful balance between authority and measured enforcement, captured clearly on the body cam. Reed reviewed security footage from surrounding parking lot cameras. The angles aligned with the body cam recording, showing the same sequence from multiple perspectives. Each video confirmed the movements, positioning, and procedural compliance of Officer Reed and the assisting officers. Dispatch logs verified that the response time, duration of detainment, and officer communications were consistent with departmental standards. Reed explained the steps taken to document every interaction and preserve all evidence, including witness statements from bystanders who observed the encounter. He also addressed potential concerns about perception. The judge's resistance could be interpreted differently depending on the angle, lighting, or framing of the video. Reed emphasized that the footage captured compliance, escalation management, and lawful enforcement. The 8-minute recording provided a full, objective account. Reed spent hours cataloging the evidence. He cross-referenced the body cam footage with statements, logs, and security video. Every frame, every verbal exchange, and every movement was meticulously documented. He prepared a report for Internal Affairs, detailing the actions taken and providing context for every decision. The lieutenant reviewed the report and footage, noting the thoroughness. "Your documentation is comprehensive," Calloway said. "We will still conduct a full review, but your records and the body cam footage provide clarity." Reed's union representative contacted him, advising that backup copies of all recordings should be secured off-site. Reed followed the recommendation, encrypting files and storing them in multiple secure locations. He understood that any loss, tampering, or misinterpretation could compromise the integrity of his account. Throughout the day, Reed received multiple calls from colleagues, reporters, and supervisors. Each inquiry confirmed the importance of accurate documentation and corroborating evidence. The body cam recording, combined with reports and witness statements, would determine whether the detainment was seen as lawful or subject to scrutiny. By evening, Reed reviewed the 8-minute body cam footage independently. He analyzed the judge's movements, his own positioning, and the verbal commands issued. He noted every potential point of misinterpretation and prepared counter-explanations aligned with department policy. Reed also consulted legal counsel to verify that the procedural steps followed during the detainment adhered to state law and departmental guidelines. Every decision, from approach to handcuffing, was legally justified. Counsel confirmed that the documentation and recordings protected Reed against potential allegations of misconduct. The day ended with Reed compiling a complete package: body cam footage, dispatch logs, officer statements, security videos, and legal review. He ensured that each piece of evidence supported his account, presenting a comprehensive record of the encounter. He left the precinct late at night, understanding that the 8 minutes of body cam footage were more than just a recording. They were a safeguard for truth and accountability. Every movement, every verbal exchange, and every command had been preserved. Reed knew the next phase would involve review by Internal Affairs and possibly legal teams. The 8 minutes would be examined with extreme scrutiny, and the outcome would hinge on the combination of objective recording and meticulous documentation. The routine call had escalated into a high-stakes review. Officer Daniel Reed understood the importance of preparation, evidence preservation, and accurate procedural execution. The body cam had captured the truth. Now it would be the foundation for validation, scrutiny, and vindication. The encounter was over, but the review had just begun. 8 minutes had changed the trajectory of the day, the officer's career, and the perception of what unfolded in the parking lot that afternoon. The next morning, Officer Daniel Reed returned to the precinct with the weight of the prior day's detainment still heavy on him. The 8 minutes of body cam footage had become central to an internal affairs investigation. The incident involving Judge Thompson was being examined at the highest levels. Reed understood that the footage would be scrutinized for every gesture, every command, and every reaction. Lieutenant Calloway and Sergeant Price were waiting in the evidence review room. The body cam was placed on the table, its red recording light blinking steadily. "Officer Reed," Calloway began, "we will conduct a thorough review. Please walk us through the detainment step by step. We need clarity on timing, actions, and verbal commands." Reed nodded and began his explanation. He recounted the dispatch call, his arrival at the parking lot, and initial observations of the black SUV. He described approaching the driver's side, requesting Judge Thompson to exit the vehicle, and the verbal commands he issued to establish compliance. The body cam footage was displayed on the monitor. Each frame revealed subtle details: the judge's hesitation, shifts in posture, eye movements, and tension in the shoulders. Reed explained the context of each moment. Every instruction was documented, every pause accounted for. The footage provided a neutral perspective, capturing both compliance and resistance. Calloway paused the video at multiple critical frames. "Explain these moments," he said, pointing to instances where the judge leaned back, resisting the command to exit. "These are brief resistances," Reed explained. "I maintained my position to prevent escalation. My movements were controlled and procedural. I ensured no excessive force was applied. Compliance was eventually achieved, as recorded by the body cam." Price cross-referenced the timeline with dispatch logs and backup officer statements. Reed confirmed the alignment. Every movement and verbal exchange matched the official record. The backup officers had documented their positions, movements, and observations. Their accounts corroborated Reed's statements precisely. The investigation team scrutinized subtle aspects: the tone of voice, hand placement, and approach. Reed explained each adjustment, emphasizing adherence to department protocol. Every interaction was consistent with safety procedures and lawful authority. The footage illustrated his careful balance between enforcing compliance and avoiding unnecessary escalation. Dispatch logs verified response time, officer communications, and detainment duration. Security camera footage from the surrounding lot aligned perfectly with the body cam recording. The incident was documented from multiple perspectives. Every frame, every movement, and every verbal command was preserved, creating a comprehensive record. Reed addressed potential misinterpretations. Certain angles and lighting could make compliant movements appear aggressive. He highlighted the consistency across all sources: body cam, dispatch logs, witness statements, and security cameras. Each element reinforced the accuracy of his actions. The internal affairs team reviewed legal considerations. Reed explained that the detainment was lawful, temporary, and necessary due to refusal to comply. The procedures followed conformed to state law and departmental guidelines. Counsel confirmed that each step was justified and within legal bounds. Reed documented everything in a detailed report. Every second of the body cam footage was annotated with context. Instructions, verbal warnings, movements, and the judge's responses were meticulously noted. Witness statements and security footage were referenced to corroborate each moment. Calloway and Price conducted interviews with the backup officers. Their accounts confirmed Reed's adherence to protocol. Each officer's observations aligned with the recorded footage. The 8 minutes captured on the body cam were consistent across multiple sources. Reed also reviewed the footage independently. He noted minor details that could be questioned, such as brief pauses, eye contact, and hand positioning. For each, he prepared explanations rooted in safety and procedure. Every potential point of contention was addressed and documented. By mid-afternoon, the internal affairs team compiled a preliminary report. They had cross-referenced the body cam, dispatch logs, witness statements, and security footage. The documentation presented a clear record. Officer Reed followed protocol, maintained control, and avoided excessive force. The lieutenant discussed next steps. Your documentation is thorough. The review will continue, but the body cam footage and supporting evidence strongly support your account. Reed acknowledged, understanding that thoroughness and transparency were crucial in this high-profile investigation. Reed secured backup copies of the body cam footage off-site. He encrypted the files and stored them in multiple secure locations. The chain of custody was maintained to ensure evidence integrity. Any loss, tampering, or misinterpretation could compromise the investigation and his career. Evening arrived, and Reed reviewed the incident one last time. He cross-checked each detail, ensuring alignment between all sources. Every verbal command, every minor adjustment, and every movement was accounted for. The 8 minutes recorded during the detainment had become a comprehensive and objective record. Reed's thoughts returned to the moment of confrontation. What seemed routine at the time had escalated into an 8-minute test of authority, procedure, and accountability. The footage captured the truth of what occurred, providing a neutral, unaltered perspective. He prepared additional documentation for the legal team. Each procedural step, from arrival to handcuffing, was detailed. The report highlighted the officer's measured actions, efforts to de-escalate, and adherence to policy. Each aspect was tied to evidence captured on video and verified by supporting statements. Reed understood that perception could influence judgment, but objective documentation provided protection. The body cam preserved every movement, ensuring the truth would be evident in the investigation. 8 minutes had recorded the entirety of the encounter, creating a factual account impervious to misrepresentation. Before leaving the precinct, Reed organized all materials, body cam footage, security footage, dispatch logs, officer statements, and legal documentation. Every piece supported the accuracy of his actions. The encounter with Judge Thompson was no longer just a traffic stop escalation. It was a demonstration of procedure, accountability, and transparency under pressure. The day concluded with a clear understanding. The investigation would continue, but the evidence collected and the meticulous documentation provided a robust defense. 8 minutes of body cam footage had preserved the sequence of events, demonstrated procedural compliance, and protected Officer Reed from misinterpretation. The encounter was over, but the review and analysis had only just begun. 8 minutes of objective recording had become the foundation for truth, accountability, and professional validation. Reed left the precinct with confidence, knowing that transparency and preparation had ensured that the facts of the case were clear, documented, and verifiable. Officer Daniel Reed returned to the precinct for the final internal affairs review. The tension in the building was palpable. Every officer in the room understood the gravity of the situation. A detainment involving Judge Thompson, 8 minutes of body cam footage, and an examination by multiple oversight entities. Reed placed the body cam on the table, its red light blinking steadily, signaling the continuous recording of objective evidence. Lieutenant Calloway opened the session. Officer Reed, we have reviewed all materials. This includes the body cam footage, backup officer statements, dispatch logs, and surrounding security camera recordings. We are ready to hear your final explanation regarding the events that transpired during the detainment. Reed nodded and began a detailed account. He recounted the dispatch call, arrival at the parking lot, initial observations, and the judge's refusal to comply. He described the sequence of commands issued, his approach to the vehicle, the methodical instructions to step out, and the procedures followed to secure compliance. The body cam footage played on the monitor. Every movement, every verbal instruction, every slight resistance by the judge was captured in high clarity. Reed explained each moment, noting the reasoning behind every action and emphasizing procedural compliance. He highlighted that each step adhered to departmental guidelines for safety, lawful authority, and minimal use of force. Calloway paused at several frames showing the judge resisting handcuffing. Reed explained the controlled approach, the measured use of force, and the temporary physical guidance necessary to maintain safety. All movements were proportional, he emphasized. The body cam shows compliance achieved without escalation or unnecessary force. Price reviewed the dispatch logs alongside the video, confirming the sequence of events. The timing of commands, backup arrival, and completion of detainment matched Reed's documentation. All details aligned precisely. Timestamps, officer statements, and recorded movements. The team examined the judge's complaint alleging unlawful detainment. Reed provided a legal justification for each step, confirming that detainment was temporary, lawful, and performed in accordance with department and state guidelines. Counsel had previously reviewed the procedures, confirming that every action fell within the bounds of legality. Backup officers present at the scene provided sworn statements confirming Reed's actions. They described positioning, communication, and procedural steps, all aligning with the body cam footage. The evidence painted a consistent narrative of lawful detainment, proper procedure, and controlled execution. Calloway and Price scrutinized subtle details, hand placement, verbal tone, and officer positioning. Reed explained each adjustment as a precautionary measure, designed to minimize risk and maintain compliance. The footage validated his explanations, showing careful control at every stage. Dispatch logs confirmed officer communications and response times. Security camera footage from surrounding areas corroborated the events captured by the body cam. Every perspective reinforced the accuracy of Reed's account. The documentation created an unbroken chain of evidence from arrival to transfer of the judge into transport custody. Reed had also prepared a detailed procedural report. Each second of the body cam footage was annotated with context, including verbal instructions, minor movements, and the judge's responses. Witness statements and security footage were cross-referenced to support every detail. After reviewing all materials, Calloway addressed Reed. Officer Reed, after careful consideration, Internal Affairs concludes that your actions were within department policy and lawful. The detainment was executed properly, and no disciplinary action will be taken. Your suspension is lifted effective immediately. Relief washed over Reed. The 8 minutes captured on his body cam had preserved the truth and protected him from misinterpretation. His meticulous documentation, the corroborating officer statements, and multiple sources of video evidence had all contributed to a complete defense. Reed secured all copies of the body cam footage, dispatch logs, and security recordings in encrypted storage. He ensured chain of custody protocols were followed meticulously. Any compromise of these files could have altered the perception of the incident. Preservation of evidence was critical to maintaining transparency and accountability. Later that day, Reed created a comprehensive guide for officers on body cam usage, procedural detainment, and evidence preservation. He titled it 8 Minutes of Truth, Body Cam Protocols for Law Enforcement. The guide included step-by-step instructions for securing footage, documenting interactions, maintaining procedural compliance, and preventing misinterpretation. The guide was distributed within the department and made accessible to law enforcement nationwide. Reed emphasized that 8 minutes of body cam footage could determine careers, accountability, and the interpretation of events. The guide offered practical steps to maintain transparency and safeguard both officers and the public. That evening, Reed reviewed the entire incident one final time. The encounter had started as a routine call but escalated into a high-stakes detainment involving a high-profile individual. 8 minutes had been recorded, preserved, and analyzed. The footage captured every word, movement, and command with clarity, providing a full account of the encounter. Reed reflected on the importance of preparation and adherence to protocol. Each decision, each verbal instruction, and each movement had been captured objectively. The body cam had preserved reality without bias, and meticulous documentation had provided context, clarity, and legal justification. He distributed the guide to officers in training, emphasizing its role in supporting accountability and protecting careers. Reed highlighted that the combination of careful procedure, objective recording, and accurate reporting created a framework for officers to follow in high-pressure encounters. By the end of the day, the investigation was concluded. The badge remained on Reed's chest, symbolizing authority. The body cam remained a record of truth, proving that his actions were lawful and procedural. The 8 minutes recorded in the parking lot had become a lesson in accountability, preparation, and transparency. The incident with Judge Thompson was now a case study, demonstrating the critical role of body cams, detailed documentation, and adherence to protocol. Reed had navigated a complex, high-stakes encounter while maintaining professionalism, legality, and control. As he left the precinct, Reed knew that the next incident would bring new challenges, but he also knew he had established a standard for evidence preservation, procedural integrity, and accountability. The guide he had created would ensure that other officers could rely on the same principles. The 8 minutes that had once felt like chaos had been transformed into a complete record of lawful detainment, careful procedure, and professional conduct. Reed's career remained intact, supported by objective evidence, meticulous documentation, and clear procedural adherence. The story of the detainment would now serve as a reference for officers, supervisors, and law enforcement agencies nationwide. Reed understood that transparency and preparation were essential to maintaining trust, accountability, and career security. The incident was resolved. The footage, the reports, and the guide ensured that truth prevailed. 8 minutes of body cam footage had preserved integrity, demonstrated compliance, and provided a foundation for officers everywhere to follow best practices. The next video will reveal another intense body cam story, offering lessons and insights. A free guide on officer safety, procedure, and body cam documentation is available to ensure every encounter is properly recorded and defended.